Hey, what's up guys? So today is going to be another power aerial tutorial, and this time it's going to be on a move that's not too hard. I would say it's one of the easier power aerials, so if you're looking for something to kind of start out, probably should have started the series with something like this. But if you're looking for something to get into power aerials with and you don't have like a lot of experience, this might be the move to start with. Alright, so once again I'm going to be doing a little bit of rambling before I go into the actual tutorial. And so like always, you can skip ahead by going to the timestamps in the description if you don't feel like listening. But what I'm going to be rambling about today is kind of the opportunity you have in third person flipping to make your footage, and not even your footage, like if somebody's actually watching you, that's the third person perspective. So in that perspective, you can make your routines more performative by adding emotion and energy that you really can't add in when you're doing first person flipping. So what I mean by that is, from the third person perspective, people will be able to tell when you throw your body into a catch or something like that a little bit harder, or maybe you move a couple extra body parts in a certain way to like accent one of your Balisong moves. They wouldn't be able to see in first person flipping. And I think that's kind of important because people will recognize when they see something that's closer to a real performative art. So, like, everybody knows what the right kind, even though you might not be a dancer, you know what a good quality dance routine looks like. Somebody who's bad at dancing versus somebody who's good at dancing, and the extra things that they do to, make it look like a really high quality dance routine. And so people will be able to recognize that in your third person flipping too. And that'll be the difference between somebody who just did something cool to a couple Balisong people who specifically like that style of flipping, compared to a routine that everybody, like not just Balisong people, will look at and be like, wow, that was really cool because it looked like a real performative art rather than just like a really niche interest in like somebody who just likes throwing around knives. So I actually learned this from a hula hooper on Instagram, this like Australian woman who does like performative hula hooping. I was in her live stream one time and I asked her a question. I forget exactly what I asked her, but I asked her something and she said sometimes it's better not to do the most technical thing. It's sometimes it's better to take a step back and do some simpler stuff that you know really well, so you can add those like energetic or like emotional accents to the moves to just make them look cooler. Because at the end of the day, only a small amount of people are going to be able to appreciate the technical aspects of what you're doing. But when you add those performative qualities, everybody's going to be able to appreciate that. So it's kind of better to focus on the performance versus like the technicality of what you're doing. That's all I really wanted to ramble about today. I know I actually fall into that kind of trap of trying to make my stuff as technical as possible sometimes and messing up the performance. But yeah, it's best to stick to the performance and just make your stuff look as entertaining as possible rather than as technical as possible. Alright, so now for the actual tutorial on this power aerial that I'm calling the Meteor. And like the other moves that I named, the name is kind of trying to illustrate exactly what you're doing or trying to achieve with this move on like a meta level. And what you're doing is you're throwing the Balisong up from behind your back, grabbing one handle in the air, bringing it down, and basically transferring it to your opposite hand. And from the video, you might be able to tell why I'm calling it the Meteor, because that's a good kind of concept to think about while you're doing this move, because that's the biggest difference between making it really look cool and just making it look like any other move. Is you really want it to come kind of crashing down from that behind the back throw into your other hand to make it really look nice. But yeah, this move really illustrates what I was rambling about earlier, where I talked about the performance of the move. and some moves kind of rely on the performative aspect a little bit more than others. This move really does. I found after doing it for a while, I realized that if I don't pay attention to those critical points that I just talked about, it really is not that entertaining of a move, and I was honestly thinking about not even using this move in my flipping profile until I figured out exactly what to pay attention to when I do it to make it look cool, and now I really like it. Okay, so moving on to the things that I would suggest you practice beforehand to make learning this move a little bit easier. First thing is obviously a behind the back throw, because what you really want to make the moving from one hand into the other part of this power aerial look cool is first getting the right throwing position. So I talked about the Balisong is going to be in a kind of a point of suspense, and that's when you want to grab it. So getting the Balisong from behind your back up to that point is like kind of the first step in making this move look cool. So if you have a solid behind the back throw, it's going to be a lot easier. Next, if you want to get a little bit more comfortable with the bringing the Balisong from one hand into the other part, you could do this kind of like stepping stone practice move where you just throw it up like starting out in front of you, throw it up, do a little aerial, and then bring it down into your other hand. And then the last thing is just practicing some basic transfers. You don't have to do the one basic transfer that you see me doing in this clip. You can do a couple others, you can get creative with it. So just practicing a couple of basic transfers, you're probably already familiar with them, but if you're not, get a couple of them down so you got some options coming out of this power aerial. Okay, so that's everything that I wanted to talk about in this video. Talking about the future, I'm considering doing like a video or two maybe soon where I don't talk about a specific move, but instead I just kind of talk about flipping in general, maybe exactly how I approach developing my style, developing specific routines rather than like just one move, or maybe how to think about the flow of moves in my combos. I don't know. If you have any suggestions, let me know. I'm going to keep thinking about it, and I'll probably just decide on whatever I find the most interesting to talk about. But yeah, I'll definitely do more specific power aerial tutorials, but some more abstract stuff might be coming soon. Alright, now I'm going to let my Instagram post from last week be the outro. Good luck with your Meteor practice, and I'll see you guys later.